High peaks and picturesque mountain valleys have always been shrouded in mysteries. Mountains have attracted people at all times, not only because of the landscapes and fresh air. Mountains are an inexhaustible treasure trove of amazing historical discoveries and unusual natural phenomenon. It seems that on every hike, adventurers are awaited by the most incredible finds, from cryptids to valuable artifacts, and often deadly dangers. You are on the Top Facts channel, and we have collected for you 20 of the strangest things ever found in the mountains. So let's head to the mountain. The Kent mountain range in northeastern Mongolia has been shrouded in mystery for centuries about treasures and the final resting place of Jenus Khan. This famous military leader of the 13th century, the founder of the Mongolian Empire, is one of the most outstanding warriors and rulers in history. According to legend, Jenus Khan hid in these caves immeasurable riches, acquired by his hordes in the enslaved countries. He believed that the main enemy of his people was greed, and thus wanted to protect the nation from all the mania for luxury and wealth. Although his gold has not yet been discovered, and the huge secret tomb too, according to rumors, all those who built it were ordered to be executed. So the tomb of Jenus Khan is kind of a place of power, still shrouded in the darkness of mystery. Even ancient celebrities knew how to protect their private life. This incredible find, also known as Dashcastone, is a map of Siberia as it was 120 million years ago. It was discovered in 1999 by a group led by Alexander Chularov from the University of Bashkortostan. This stone tells us that on Earth, in the lower Cretaceous period, there was already a technically advanced civilization. The stone slab, measuring approximately 3 feet 3 inches by 4 feet 11 inches and weighing about 2,200 pounds, depicts a very detailed topographical map of Bashkiria, and its composition has an artificial origin. The map is made of 3 separate layers, resembling cement, glass enriched with silicon, and a calcium porcelain mixture. The find is considered an extremely ancient artifact. Possibly, the material has an origin dating back to 120 million years ago and could have been obtained from ancient seashells. One such shell, found in the stone, could be older than 500 million years, while another part of it could date back to 120 million years. Despite such ancient material, scientists suspect that the table was approximately made 3,000 years ago, and at that time, there was already a design, topographical technologies, and the principle of creating backups. The Pomsky crater in the Irkutsk region is one of the most mysterious in the world. In the year 1949, in limestone boulders of the upland, it was discovered by a young geologist, Vadim Kolpakov. From the local residents, he heard that this place, nicknamed the Nest of the Fire Eagle, has a bad reputation. People feel uncomfortable there, and animals avoid it altogether. At that time, all geological organizations in eastern Siberia were only interested in uranium deposits, not the origin of unique geological craters. Its diameter is 519 feet, the depth is about 130 feet, and the hypotheses about its appearance are more than contradictory. From Stalin's secret uranium mine to the site of a UFO landing, the crater consists of crumbling gray limestone, and to this day there are few trees here. One detail puzzled scientists. There are no iron deposits in this region, but magnetic studies of the crater showed that something with an anonymously high iron content for these places is located at a depth of 328 to 492 feet beneath. Moreover, it changes the magnetic field over an area twice as large as the crater itself. In this regard, it was assumed that this is a particularly durable meteorite that did not shatter upon impact, but drilled into the earth. But not in eastern Siberia, but on the other side of the planet, a piece of very dense quark star pierced the planet through and through. The magma passed through this channel. In this case, a similar crater should be located on the opposite side, at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. This is not at all fantasy. Similar through piercings of the Earth's body by smaller meteorites occurred in 1993. The leader of Pomsky crater research group, Victor Antipin, claims that 3 underground explosions occurred, which is why rocks were thrown to the surface 3 times, forming a crater. The fall of meteorites of this type explains the wave of earthquakes that occur, not point-wise, but literally. Seismic waves from them diverge, as from a stone thrown into the water. By the way, if you're interested in the topic of earthquakes caught on camera, then at the end of this video, I'll leave a link where you can find the issue about earthquakes. In a remote sanctuary of Zeus at the top of Mount Leon in Greece, archaeologists working on the excavation of the altar made an unusual discovery. They found a skeleton of a teenager, dated 3,000 years ago. This changed previous conceptions of the temple, which functioned as a ritual hall around the 16th century before our era. Animal sacrifices were a known practice, but human remains, arranged in a special way among the ashes of animals, were found for the first time. They lay on a stone slab in 2 lines across the east-west axis. Intriguingly, the upper part of the skull is missing. This human sacrifice at the altar was made in the 11th century before our era and confirmed the information from ancient literary sources. So the ancestors of the Hellenes and their customs did not go too far from the cruel Mayans. An ancient artifact, approximately 1,700 years old, was discovered under the ice in the mountains of Norway. Leather footwear, which has been remarkably well preserved. It's assumed that this area served as a transit point during the Iron Age, around 300 years before the Common Era. The found sandal, of Roman design, was a popular type of footwear at that time, made from a single piece of leather. What was a Roman doing in Norway? And why was he wearing sandals instead of fur boots? This significant discovery points to the extent of Roman influence and the spread of their culture far to the north of ancient Europe. It is likely that a woolen sock or a leather cover was worn under the light footwear. Otherwise, how could one endure the harsh mountain conditions at an altitude of about 9,843 feet? The sandal was found at the site of the supposed boundary of the Roman Empire, as they were during the period 200 to 500 years after the Common Era, and it provides documentary evidence that the cartographers were not mistaken. In the mountains of Norway lies the Lenbri Pass, which has become a treasure trove for historians and archaeologists, especially those fascinated by the Viking era. This icy pass was once a bustling street in Viking settlement, a vital stretch of land for quick transitions and trade exchanges, and is now beginning to reveal its secrets. In recent years, the ice here has been melting at an alarming rate, and the retreating glaciers have already uncovered numerous artifacts, each offering a glimpse into the daily life and travels of the Vikings. One of the most remarkable finds is a well-preserved tunic. Before us is a genuine piece of clothing. We can assess the quality of the tanning and the style of sewing of an item that has lain in the ice for more than 1,700 years. Imagine the surprise of researchers when they found this tunic among other artifacts. There were tools, remains of sleds, and even horse bones. This means that the pass was not a pedestrian road, but served as an ancient highway for transporting goods and livestock. In the heart of the Rocky Mountains, there's a place that still holds a story worthy of a treasure hunter's novel. Legend has it that Napoleon Bonaparte himself organized a daring expedition to increase wealth for his grand plans. And it was not just a group of seekers. An entire caravan of 300 people and 450 horses undertook a journey from New Orleans into the uncharted wilderness of the Rocky Mountains. Their destination was the area near Wolf Creek, and they found much gold. But then they were awaited by the first obstacle, the Native Americans. Initially friendly, suddenly became enemies. The situation escalated, and the French, burdened with heavy treasure, were faced with a choice: survive or enrich themselves in the grave. In the end, they buried the gold nuggets and fled. Amidst the chaos, only one person named Blanc managed to escape and left 2 maps describing a place where a fortune lay hidden for years. The maps surfaced over time, but treasure hunters meticulously and unsuccessfully surveyed the mountain. someone named William Ewell led an extensive search on the western slope. In the year 1993, 2 residents of Fort Collins embarked on a perilous journey to claim the French treasure from the 1700s, but it was not without tragedy. One of the seekers died from a rattlesnake bite, and the other died on the way. The location of the treasure remains a secret, guarded by the mountain. If you had free time and loved hiking, would you dare try your luck? Mount Blanc, or White Mountain, is a majestic peak, the highest point in the Alps at 15,778 feet above sea level, and this height is sufficient to hold the title of the highest mountain in Western Europe. But beyond its height, Mont Blanc has also earned the reputation as one of the deadliest routes for climbers, outstripping even the world's highest peak, Everest, in terms of fatalities. Since the early 1990s, Mont Blanc has claimed more lives, which is astonishing considering Everest's height and extreme climbing conditions. The main danger of Mont Blanc lies in its unpredictability. The Grand Couloir area alone is a testament to this. It must be crossed on the way to the summit, and the climbing conditions here pose enormous risks that are not limited to climbing technique alone. Mont Blanc is treacherous, and numerous natural disasters lurk for climbers, especially in the summer months. When the snow melts, avalanches become more frequent, covering crevices and abysses with a layer of snow. The sad statistics record an average of about 60 deaths per year, meaning once or twice a week, someone there perishes. Thus, it rightfully earned its reputation as a deadly peak. A World War II-era aircraft, discovered in the remote and harsh expanses of the Indian Himalayas, is a remarkable find that seems to come straight out of the pages of history. The transport aircraft, Curtiss C-46, a relic of the war, was found almost 80 years after it went missing while on a humanitarian mission, meeting a mysterious fate. In the early days of 1945, the plane, having taken off from Kunming in southern China, was en route through the challenging terrain of Arunachal Pradesh, a mountainous state in India. The flight was carrying 13 people and was navigating through the Himalayan beauty in bad weather, which sealed its fate. This region is known for its treacherous conditions, and where the plane disappeared was unknown until now. After a painstaking and dangerous search, the missing piece of history was found, but unfortunately not without losses. 3 guides died during this mission, adding another tragedy to the story. This dreadful incident remains one of the most mysterious and chilling events in recent history. In February 1959, 9 experienced hikers from the Ural Polytechnic Institute, led by Igor Dyatlov, set out an expedition to conquer 2 peaks of the northern Urals. They set up camp on the eastern slopes of the mountain, yet something inexplicable and terrifying happened that night. What forced them to panic and flee their tents, running from the camp? Ill-prepared for the heavy snowfall and low temperatures, the hikers died from hypothermia. However, the examination of the bodies revealed disturbing details. 3 had died from severe physical injuries, including significant skull and chest damage. 2 had peculiar injuries, eyes missing, 1 without a tongue, and another person was missing eyebrows. This unfortunate accident spawned numerous theories: animal attacks, hypothermia, avalanches, squall winds, and infrasound causing panic terror. Even military intervention was suggested, but to this day, there is no official account to the group's demise. Could the information have been deliberately classified? In 1942, a Swiss couple named Marcel and Francine mysteriously vanished on their way home, and their disappearance remained an enigma stretching over decades. In their small village, 7 children were left behind, who grew up and lived many years in a state of uncertainty and sorrow. It was known that the couple went to milk cows, and it is likely that they met their demise due to an unfortunate accident on the way. Despite searches and investigations, no traces were found. and the fate of the couple remained unknown to their loved ones until the year 2017. A worker from a company managing cable cars and lifts in the Alps accidentally stumbled upon the mummified remains of two people. They were well preserved thanks to the glacier. From the clothing and the style of the 40s, it was clear that it was a man and a woman. Although the authorities did not officially confirm the identities of the bodies, the eldest daughter of the missing Marcelin, Audrey Dumoulin, expressed confidence that her parents were finally found. Imagine what it was like for this family to live with an unresolved story of their parents' disappearance. The pain of loss might not have subsided, but at least the bodies could be laid to rest. In the whimsical Italian town of Duino, nestled among the mountains, a local legend became one of the most intriguing mysteries of the region: the ghost of the White Lady of Duino Castle. The tragic story of love and betrayal goes like this. The lady was the wife of an evil knight who despised and rejected her love, and finally plotted to kill his spouse. On one fateful evening, he lured her to a cliff beneath the castle walls and pushed her into the sea. In despair, she turned to the heavens for help, and petrified in her grief, turning into a piece of rock. From that day, the spirit of the White Lady began to wander the castle. She appears and vanishes in the castle's darkness, moving from room to room through the locked doors, and her pathway always leads to the place where her son slept in his cradle. She roams at night, and at dawn, she returns to her rock and turns back into stone again. It is also said that every night in the castle, a candle seems to burn as she crosses the corridors and doors open by themselves. It turns out that in the folklore of alpine dwellers, there's also an antithesis to Santa Claus, named Krampus. He appears as a devil-like creature and accompanies St. Nicholas on his Christmas journey. In contrast to the kind European Father Christmas, who delivers gifts to good children, the fearsome Krampus comes with birch branches for those who have misbehaved. It looks horrifying, but these unique traditions have been observed in some parts of Europe for centuries during joyful holidays. The horned half-goat, half-demon is more popular in Austria, Germany, Hungary, and the Czech Republic. The spectacle is simultaneously eerie and enchanting. Participants are dressed in handmade costumes made of goat and sheep fur, terrifying masks with horns, and all this they showcase at parties, eliciting awe and childish fear among the audience. But their goal is not to scare, but to preserve the traditions of their region and cultural roots. The main thing is that tourists are warned about local customs and time. Encountering such a monster on the street in the evening might make one forget about culture. This is more of a suspicion than a discovery. Cleverly hidden, but who knows? Perhaps the mystery will soon be unveiled. In the heart of the Himalayas, on cloud-enshrouded peaks, according to ancient legends, lives one of the most elusive creatures in the world, the Yeti, or abominable snowman. It is said that this huge bipedal creature is covered in thick fur. Such a coat is perfectly suited for the harsh snowy climate on its mountain. Information about its size varies, but agrees on one thing: it is much taller than the average human. For centuries, the Yeti has been present in the folklore of indigenous communities, especially in stories that have been passed down by the Sherpas, a local ethnic group. Western interest in the Yeti peaked in the early 20th century. It coincided with the era of Himalayan exploration by mountaineers, and tales of large primates returned. Footprints in the snow were evidence of the Yeti's presence, pointed out by eyewitnesses, but concrete evidence of the Yeti's existence remains elusive. Indirect confirmations, such as hair samples, were debunked. Scientific analysis determined that they belonged to other known wild animals, such as bears or large primates. But the lack of conclusive evidence has not stopped enthusiastic searches. Many mountain researchers continue to dedicate their lives to the hunt for the Yeti, to finally put an end to the dispute over its existence. Another amusing yet quirky pastime in the Alps is horned sled racing on a winding ice track. very popular in Germany and Austria. Participants race down snowy slopes in modern race cars, but on wooden homemade sleds with curved runners resembling horns. Many years ago, locals used them to transport firewood or milk along narrow mountain paths, and now only the sporting interest remains. Teams in old-style folk costumes push off from the top of the hill, and then come what may. It's not about speed, but about the control system. There's almost none, and they navigate sharp turns by the will of fate. This activity has turned out to be fascinating. People from all over the world have come to immerse themselves in the nostalgia of the good old alpine village. What unusual competitions do you know of? Share your experience in the comments below. These animals defy gravity. Have you ever seen mountain goats climbing steep cliffs in the rugged terrain of the Alps? These incredible creatures perform feats daily that are worthy of circus performers. Even experienced climbers would drop their jaws at the jumps of these goats. But what drives them to climb the peaks, jump over chasms, and cling to the edge? They are not just random tourists here, but locals, and their goal is to survive. So, they are searching for something as precious to their life as gold is to us: salt. Yes, salt, needed by the animals for their bodies to function correctly. But at these heights, it's as rare as an oasis in the desert. They manage to descend vertical cliffs, bypass treacherous ledges, and jump with inch precision, all to lick salty stones. Indeed, life in the mountains is not so sweet, even for local goats. Imagine traveling through Switzerland and climbing a mountain 9,843 feet above sea level. The last thing you expect to encounter there is a domestic cat lost among the icy boulders. Such was the unexpected experience of a couple of climbers who were suddenly joined by a bewildered meowing gray cat during their ascent. Why did it decide to accompany the tourists instead of peacefully sleeping by the stove? The climbers were speechless. As resilient as cats are, why did it climb to such a height? It was clearly frightened and disoriented, and the harsh snow must have hurt its paws. Naturally, the tourists took the animal to warmth, but their surprise was great when it turned out that this was not the domestic cat's first climb. Before, it had followed other tourists up Mount Briston, and this journey was his third attempt. Hopefully, the owners will keep a better eye on the wanderings of the cat that roams the Alps on its own. High in the French Alps, a remarkable natural phenomenon known as watermelon snow occurs. It is noticeable in late spring and early summer. Astonishing reddish snow with speckles resembling sugar arises due to the protective mechanisms of microscopic algae living in the alpine snows. Usually they are green in color due to chlorophyll, but these microalgae produce molecules of colored pigment, carotenoids, and under strong sunlight, they act as a shield, protecting the tiny unicellular organisms. By definition, they are listed as Chlamydomonas nivalis, a familiar word from biology textbooks. In the heart of the French Alps lies a wonder room, and it's not just a delight on the eyes, but also a test of courage. Are you ready to take a step into the void? This is the name of the thrilling attraction on the terrace of the Agaio du Midi peaks. It rises to 12,600 feet. A glass cube hangs in the air above the mountain slopes, and you seem to float in the sky. The viewing platform opened on December 21, 2013, and offers an amazing chance to hang above the hustle and bustle, admire Mont Blanc, and look into the abyss under your feet at a depth of 3,399 feet. Not everyone dares to take this bold step, but the designers assure that the triple layer of glass can withstand a squally wind with speeds of up to 137 miles per hour and frost to minus 76 degrees Fahrenheit. A similar platform exists at the Grand Canyon, and it inspired the creators of the Alpine version. Let's emphasize this experience is not for the faint-hearted, but it clearly provides the most acute sensations of height and freedom of view when the majestic Alps lie at your feet. Would you dare to step into this cube? Which of these findings intrigued you the most? Perhaps you experienced something extraordinary during your mountain hikes? Share with us in the comments below, and also check out our other cool compilations that have already appeared on your screen. Take care and see you in the next episodes on the Top Facts channel.